I'm glad to be here today. Since we're all shut in our homes because of the coronavirus, this kind of autism conference is very, very different. But we're all going to make friends and learn a lot of advice. So, my name is Rachel Barcelona. I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, and it was really hard. I mean, I didn't really know what it was, but I was in the principal's office with my mom, and I was surrounded by a lot of doctors saying that I would never accomplish anything or have any friends. But I'm thankful to my mom for helping me get to where I am today. And one of those methods is therapy, and that's what we're going to learn about today. Being actually autistic and the therapies you can do to help your child. Now, some of the methods that helped me were occupational therapy, music therapy, physical therapy, all of that stuff. But unfortunately, those cost thousands of dollars. And especially during this virus that we're all shut up in our homes. Therapy doesn't have to be expensive, and we're working from our homes. And you can do the same thing with therapy for your autistic child. And even in the early 2000s, when I was growing up, I did stuff at home too. My favorite was music therapy and art therapy, which is very popular amongst the ABA people. Wow, how I love them. Really. So let's move on with music therapy. Now, music therapy is simple. Just put on headphones or AirPods or whatever you use nowadays and just listen to your favorite music. Kids, if they have autism or not, they love music. They'll love anything. And as we all know, people with autism, especially me when I was a kid, we have sensitivities, especially to noise. I know when I was a kid, I could barely get through a fire drill or even just stuff in the car like the radio. I was starting to wonder why certain noises bothered me. But it's been scientifically proven that if you listen to music, that breaks down that sensitivity barrier because it's loud, and it'll make your kids proud as well because they have a sense of identity through their music. I grew up listening to classical and heavy metal, and I still love that today. Both are very, very loud, and I went back to school being able to get through that fire drill. So that's really cool. It didn't cost my parents that much money. Because think about this. Do you want a $5 CD versus $10,000 worth of therapy? Just think about that for a second. And you can spend more time with your child at home doing therapies like that, especially with art therapy. Moving on to the next one. Now, art therapy is very, very amazing because I work at a children's museum. Well, used to. I want to go back to work when this is all over. But I know kids love art. It's therapeutic. Kids can activate their imaginations, and it's just great for everybody. Even the parents can join in. And you can just find pieces of paper around the house and even markers just lying around. That's the best thing about it. That was my favorite. I still have some of my old art projects. And I know some people ask, Rachel, do you have a sordid past? Well, I don't know. I could just say that I was bullied a lot, especially in middle school. That's a trying time. And being actually autistic played a role in that because that's when I founded my now future nonprofit, the Ability Beyond Disabilities, because in my middle school, we had a lot of kids with varying disabilities not getting the right therapy, and I thought I wanted to help. It's been going on for 11 years, but I'm very passionate about stuff that is free, spending time with your kids at home, because the best therapies don't have to come from a doctor or with a lot of money. I've seen kids make great progress just by going to the park or playing with a ball. And oh, I see people answering or asking questions here. At least I think so. I've never used this before, but I'm so glad people are coming back. Oh, yeah. Oh, those are just old ones. Okay, here we go. How do we know whether it's started or how to get started with therapy? Is that what they're asking? Or that was old. Okay, here we go. How long were you undergoing all of these therapies? I love answering questions. Well, I think that I'm still going through therapies. I'm 23 years old, but I started when I was 3, when I was first diagnosed. So it was just a constant thing. Like a sport or when you study for a test, if you want to get good at something, you have to keep at it. And yeah, some things still bother me. I can't really go to a sporting event without wearing headphones. So that's one thing that I still have to work on. So thank you for that question. I really, really appreciate it when people ask me about that. Here's another one. What do you say about home programs? Well, definitely, they're amazing, and parents get to spend time with their kids that way. And I just love it. It doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars, and it's just as valid as going to a doctor. I'm not dissing doctors, but I don't know, my mom was a nurse, so I think she helped me. But even if you're not, if you work in sales or have another job you're passionate about, don't think that you cannot advocate for your child, because you can. Even just reading them a bedtime story is enough. So thank you so much. I really, really like that question. There was one up here. Everyone's asking so many good questions. I can't keep up with them. Hi, Rachel. How much did occupational therapy help you? Well, I try to remember because I've been going ever since I was a kid. I remember every Friday after school, my mom said I had to go to therapy, and I really liked it because it didn't feel like a prison. I would go on the swing, and they had a rock climbing wall and a ball pit. So therapy doesn't have to be torturous, you know? It's really, really fun, and kids love it. And you can even set all of that up in your home. Maybe not the rock climbing wall, but we'll see. I mean, you probably have a big house. I have no idea. But a ball pit is very easy to do outside. If you have a kiddie pool, you can fill it with balls. That would be so much fun. How you feel listening to music versus noise. Huh, well, I mean, that varies because when I was little, I didn't like noise, but now I just can't get enough of it. For example, heavy metal really calms me down. I can't imagine listening to that when I was little, but I'd say my dad helped me a lot with the music because he collected a lot of records. He had a Black Sabbath record. I listened to it when I was 5, and that's not as heavy as stuff we have nowadays, but I just loved it. It was really good music, very classic, and a lot of little kids with autism are getting into metal, I've noticed, and that just warms my heart. I think that kids are really craving to get out of that prison of sound, and they want to just see, they want to broaden their horizons, and it works. Music can really, really make somebody happy. And there's a lot of, I watch you on YouTube. Thank you very much. Best wishes from Bahrain. Oh, I love that. That's a wonderful place. And I'm not kidding. I really think it's beautiful. Everybody's country is beautiful. And I'm so glad we have such a diverse audience here. And while we're talking about a diverse audience, I would like to say that I'm proud to volunteer for the Global Autism Project, which helps autism therapists and ABA therapists in different countries understand autism. I was proud to go to the Czech Republic and be an autism teacher or advocate. I got to tell my story, and it doesn't matter what level you're at when it comes to understanding autism. I think that we all have a little bit of work to do when it comes to understanding people like us, and I just think we all can do it. So it's a wonderful organization. It helps the children, it helps people who work in the autism field who want to understand. So if you are interested, look up Global Autism Project. And everyone else is talking about I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. It's my first time using it. Is sensory integration therapy followed in your country? I think you meant allowed, but yes, it is very, very much allowed, and that's actually one of the things that helped me, sensory integration therapy. And I think that's another thing that's really free when it comes to therapy. You can do that at home, you can do that with your family, it doesn't have to cost a lot. And one of the ways I did sensory integration therapy was with food. I had troubles with food. I was a very picky eater, and I think I still am today. Unless I have to eat something, then I'll eat it. But I don't know, I have favorite foods. But when I was little, that was not the case. I only had a certain thing, one thing that I would eat, or I would not be here today. So my parents helped me with sensory integration therapy by introducing little foods little by little, and it works. You don't have to just lay it on all thick or all at once, or else the child will be like, no. I know that happened with me. I didn't like things forced on me. I still don't. But yes, is it not allowed in your country? I don't know why. I think you can do that at home. Is your child having trouble with a certain thing? If yes, tell me in the comments. I'd be happy to help. How did you feel when you understood you were autistic? Do you mind me asking where you are on the spectrum? I don't know if I'm allowed. You're allowed. Everyone's allowed. Okay. All right. So, how I felt. Well, I didn't understand it at first, especially when I was 3 years old. It was called Asperger's at the time, but now it isn't because that's an outdated term. But as a 3-year-old, I thought my mom was saying a bad word. Let's just leave it at that. But I knew there was something wrong with me when there were doctors saying I wouldn't accomplish anything, and the other kids wouldn't play with me, they'd treat me different and just flat out avoid me. And I just thought, okay, there's something wrong here. But I just went with it. Because it's okay to be different. In my house, we sort of had this thing where that it's okay to be different. You shouldn't be like everyone else. But I just wish to have one friend, and it's okay to have a few friends. You don't want to have a lot of fake friends. I've learned that over time. It's a long story. There's often times where you wish you don't have autism and you just want to be normal. And then it makes me wonder, why am I even advocating if I feel this way? But you have to embrace the imperfections because you're wonderfully made. You're the way you're supposed to be. Wow, that was a long speech. Okay. So, where I am on the spectrum. Wow. Well, the spectrum is very, very wide, and everyone is special in their own way. And I would say I'm a high-functioning savant, because that's what my diagnosis was. I remember in first grade because they made me take an IQ test and it was 162. I'm high functioning, and I get really good at things. The things that I'm really, really passionate about, like writing, music, I knew that I was different in that respect when I went to school, and everyone noticed, especially with writings. And they started asking me to write their papers for them because I was the best writer. And I guess that continued because I really want to be an author someday. So let's make it happen with hard work and dedication. So I think that's all the questions we have right now. Who said that? Oh, never mind. That's it for now. So I'll continue on with everything else that I have written. I have a reference. I usually don't like to have a reference because when you say things from the heart, people notice that. They feel that it's coming from within you. But I forget a lot of things. So we'll move on to pageants. Those help me remember a lot. So I did pageants since I was 5, and I know we have a very worldwide and diverse audience. I don't know if everyone has pageants in their country, but I'll explain what that is. It's a contest for young ladies and even boys too, but that's not as common. It's becoming that way, but it's mostly for young ladies. And that's also a spectrum. You can either be very, very high fashion and wear a lot of makeup, or you showcase your talent, how smart you are, your community service. And that's the kind of pageants that I have done because I very much value community service, having good grades, all of that. I mean, I won the Principal's Award, I graduated with A's, all of that. So I did that to help with my self-esteem. And also because autism is, let's be honest, it's a boys' club. There's not a lot of girls who have autism, or we're really good at hiding it because we put on a happy face. It's called masking because we like to blend in with everybody. And I mean, I'll admit, pageants are like masking central, but it really helped me meet a lot of friends that were girls. Let's be honest, you can't go into a social skills group with a ton of boys and just pretend to be interested when they talk about video games all day. I mean, I'm down for it, but it goes on for so long. So when I went to a pageant, I liked it. I liked being on stage. It was just amazing. I got to sing, I got to wear a dress, but I quit in 4th grade to focus on my studies, which I think are very important. You don't have to have a disability to care about your studies. I think everyone should love that. But then we go back to middle school. I had severe depression. I didn't know what could bring me out of it. So I tried pageants again, and I just got a feeling of support I didn't get from being in the real world, and that was being on stage. You know, some people have a fear of being on stage, but I had a fear of being off of it. That's what I tell everybody. So, and then that just keeps going. I've been doing pageants for a long time. But you don't have to do that if you're an autistic girl. You should stick to something you're very interested in. A lot of my friends, they just find what they like and they run. It doesn't matter what it is. A lot of girls like video games, and that's amazing. You can meet your friends there, and I love it. I love it. I'm not good at it, but it's amazing. And other autistic girls that I've met, I have one that loves bug collecting, and it's amazing. So social skills, or the groups, they cost money, but it doesn't have to. Family is forever, and family can be your best friends. Or you can go to the park and find a friend there, or through your university, which is that going to university, that changed my life. I found a lot of people that were willing to be my friend there when I joined a sorority, which is an American thing. But it was a great thing for me because I made a lot of friends in a group of girls, no boys, and I just loved it. Let's see if we have any more questions on this part of the topic. Do children with autism crave social connection? Do you like it got cut off? Well, I can answer that though. Yes, I would say that they do, or we do. I know I did. I mean, we don't show it, but we feel it. So even if they're not showing any signs of wanting to go out to the park or really do anything, you should push them. I know I didn't want to go anywhere, but my mom told me, well, you got to go out. You're going to regret not doing this. This girl seems nice. And as much as I hated it, I eventually broke down and thought, why not? Because it's called projection. If people say, no, I don't want to do that, I don't care, they really do crave social interaction. Autistic people like us, especially when we're in middle school and high school, we wish that we weren't autistic. We wish we could go to the parties and just hang out with other people, and we keep it all inside. If we're a girl, we mask. We're really better at it. Boys, I hate the world. So, as a parent, I think it would be a lot better if they push their children to just do what they liked. It doesn't matter if it's video games or bug hunting. You can always make a friend through that. I get emotional when talking about okay. Yeah, we do crave social interaction, yes. Despite what the media tells you, we do. How can I help a 9-year-old autistic who is not able to understand individual perspective based on social circumstances? Well, that'll come in time. I mean, it depends on if it's a boy or a girl, too. I mean, it sounds horrible, but gender does play a big part in it. I know that girls find it more easy to understand, but boys don't. But it doesn't matter. It'll all come in time. You just have to be patient, and it happens, especially with therapy and free therapy, too. I wish I knew what the individual perspective was. So I'll just tell you a story. For example, I knew this kid who had this voice. He really had a loud voice, and he didn't know that it was not appropriate to talk very loud in a public place. And it was like we were in a club, but it was a library we were in. So that's kind of a perspective and a social circumstance that was not appropriate. And you just got to tell them this is a library. People are reading and they'll get it eventually. It might take a couple of tries. Oh, wow. Is ASD curable? No. Well, I mean, there is no cure. There's no official cure, but it can be treated with, like I said, the therapy. We can get better over time. But I don't really like the whole cured thing because even though I was born with ASD or autism, I'm okay with it. I don't want to be changed or cured, because that would be like changing the color of my eyes. But there's a lot of ways to help treat a kid with autism. Like I said, free therapy, reading a story can go a long way. I can think of a lot of things. Ooh, that's a good one. Were you nonverbal initially? When did you start to speak? Yes. Okay, so I couldn't talk at first. That was why my mom and I were called into the principal's office, because I wasn't talking. And I started to speak after preschool. I mean, I would say a few words. I think I had a vocabulary about 5 things, I'd say. but then it would progress. And this goes back to how I said reading can go a long way, because my mom would read to me, and then we'd go to the library and I'd start reading books and I'd learn words from books. And I would just repeat things, and then 5 words turned into 10, 15. And that's why I love books today. So that's the best way I can describe it. Just, you need to pick up a book. I don't care if it's a children's book, because that's the best way to start. You don't need to start with War and Peace at all, or whatever. I'm trying to think of the most complicated book I can think of. But I know I started with Junie B. Jones, and my grandma would read that to me all the time. It was great. R.I.P. Barbara Park. So, what's your best advice for an advocate for autism if they don't have autism? So, oh, that's how you expand it. So if they don't have autism, well, there's plenty of autism advocates that don't have autism. And if you do, it's called a self-advocate. I'd say knowing the difference between that is great. And another good thing is just to be conscious of the people that you're helping, because there's a lot of rifts in the autism community. Some people don't like blue. I know I'm wearing a blue dress, but I mean, it was the first thing I could find and I thought it looked cute. But some people don't like Autism Speaks. They don't like the puzzle piece. Some people, they like the infinity symbol for neurodiversity. Some of us don't like being called special. I think that's a bit extreme, but I think being mindful of what autistic people believe in and what their needs are is a good step towards being an ally and an advocate. Wow. Ally advocate. Okay, so that's good. I wish you the best. At which age did you come to know that you were diagnosed? Well, we talked about this. I was 3 years old. But when I went to the Czech Republic, kids are being diagnosed earlier, at least 18 months, and I thought that was interesting. And I think that's the way of the future. The earlier you can get your kid diagnosed, the better. How do you think schools can put in, I've never heard that word before, inclusion within schools, and can you suggest any activities that neurotypical and neurodiverse children can do together? That's a good one, because one of my dreams is to build a school where kids do those same things. I really, really would love autistic children and neurotypicals, neurodiverse children to come together, because that's how I believe successful kids like me can thrive. We shouldn't be separated. But to be fair, I don't know. I just don't think we should be separated. We can do anything that a normal kid can do. I know that after preschool, I went to a neurotypical school up until 5th grade. I even went to private school and they had the same thing. I never went to an autistic school. They have those. And I just never went to one, but we all did the same things, especially at PE. We did basketball, we did everything. And I mean, I didn't like, I'm not a sporty girl, but someone might be. And every autistic person has the right to do those things. They shouldn't have to sit out because they have a disability. And that's just my take on that. Just include the same things that normal kids do and view the autistic person as just a kid. They'll love basketball. Do you think teletherapy helps? Well, to be honest, now I'm saying that a lot, but I mean, you really got me on that one. I don't know what teletherapy is, so I'm gonna look that up. It's not gonna take long, just like our technical difficulties did. Wow, that was really awful. Teletherapy. I think, is that a new thing? Because I've never done that. Teletherapy is not for every therapist. Oh, so it's a speech thing through video connection. I think I'm getting old. No wonder I didn't have that, because technology is not advanced. Well, it wasn't, because it was 2003. Well, now that I know what it is, I think that it would be very beneficial, because a lot of kids are on their iPads, their phones, and if they have the therapist through the screen or the phone, then that would be really amazing, especially now that we can't go outside to see a therapist formally. People cannot go and they risk getting the virus. But teletherapy is very useful right now. Yes, that would be amazing. And the generations to come will probably use teletherapy because, I don't know, I love my phone and they love theirs. I'm also a learning disabled. Now I'm a speech therapist. Wow, good job. Oh, that makes me happy. See, this is what I love. See, you can do anything you set your mind to. Anyway, how do you overcome emotional issues by surrounding people? Oh, that's never good. I had to go through that a lot because people question you. They think, why is she here? Why is she doing this? Does she belong here? That's terrible, but you just have to tell yourself, I do belong here. I worked hard. I went to that school, and I have this degree for a reason. What did you do? Well, they probably did something, but you need to know your worth. And your disability does not define you. Although some people think, oh, well, my disability does define me, but if it's causing emotional issues and people are treating you different, you have to show them why they shouldn't treat you different. For example, I know this happened to me a lot in high school, especially when I was in theater. I was part of the International Thespian Honor Society, and I considered myself the runt. Everyone thought, oh, well, she's the autistic girl. We should just leave her in the back. She shouldn't really be in the shows. And I thought, no, I'm going to prove myself. So I worked backstage. We did the Little Shop of Horrors, and I got to push the big Audrey too, even though I was nearly 100 pounds at the time. But I am a lot stronger. So I helped out. I proved myself to prove that I wasn't just the little autistic girl. And I eventually got a small part, but a part in a play. And I got to entertain people, which I loved. And you can do the same thing too in your field. People can do the same in any field if they have a disability. Knowing your worth is a big part of that. Can you differentiate what therapy you got in ABA and occupational therapy and maybe special educator if you have? Okay, I can remember a lot. This will be tough. But I didn't really have any ABA because that really wasn't a thing when I was younger. It was just coming into fruition. But it's really popular now, and I support everything they do. So it was occupational therapy that I loved very much, and physical therapy, speech therapy, everything. I had to have speech therapy because of talking. That really helped me learn to talk. And the physical therapy because I couldn't walk right. I know that I still have that problem. I have this weird balance thing. And pageants help me with that too. With walking in heels all the time, that'll help with balance issues a lot. And it's not free therapy, but doing something you love can be therapy as well. Maybe shopping, collecting something, you name it, it's all there. Anything can be a therapy. It's all good now. Yeah, it's all good. I'm so happy. Can you share your status now? Like how much you've grown in your point of view? Okay. Well, I think a lot of these are repeat questions, but my status, I think I've grown a lot, but I think I still got a lot of growing to do because, life is a journey. No one ever stops growing. And that's it. Oh, perfect. What kind of music therapy and duration? How long I listen to the music? My child is 10 years old. Well, I think ultimately you need to find out what the child likes. What music does your child like to listen to? And the music will stop whenever he or she is done. I know that's what I did when I listened to classical music, but I think I did a little extreme. When I was a kid, I used to listen to opera tapes for 3 hours straight, and that really helped me with the fire drills because I hated them. Certain noises bothered me, but when I listened to opera, which was also really loud, it just it was amazing. I was able to go back to school and I could be in large crowds and not care. Any suggestions to those who can't afford therapy or therapies are not available in the nearby vicinity? Well, we were already talking about this for a long time, that therapy does not have to be in a doctor's office or any vicinity because the best therapy is free. I know I liked a lot of music therapy, art therapy, reading. You can just go to your local store and get some of that, and it's probably $10 or whatever currency you have. It's very, very cheap. Especially art therapy. That's very, very good for the kids. If you can't afford the formal therapies, I think you can do it yourself. Speech therapy, especially. Teaching a kid to talk, I'm just thinking about it in my head. I don't think that anyone has to pay a really big amount of money. Spending time with your child, teaching them to read, that's the best therapy. Or just going for a walk, that'll help them tremendously. We're not going to talk to anyone who left, but yeah, I've been to concerts. My favorite is Motionless in White. That's the best concert. All right, how do you overcome meltdown situations? Oh, that's very important. I like to take deep breaths and just tell myself it's going to be okay. I mean, I think I was almost perfect. Now we're going to have another story time. I think I was going to have a meltdown when we had this little technical difficulties today. It was terrible. I thought I was a failure. I was just like, oh no, oh no. But then I just took a deep breath. It's like, okay, everything's gonna be okay. Even though I was really stressed. But it wasn't always like that. I would just go into full meltdown mode and I'd cry. But to get to that, it takes a lot of growing up. You get to that with age. Obviously, a child is going to be a child. You need to let them be a child. But once they get to middle school, I'm sure it will get better because you grow up. It depends on what level they're on, what part of the spectrum they're on. In that case, you need to work with them. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having a meltdown. It's just a part of autism and you need to love every bit of it. What kind of colors would you use to calm down? I never really thought of that. I'd say, well, my favorite color is red, but some people would say red is a really bold color. Maybe blue? It depends. Usually that child's favorite color is theirs, and that'll calm them down. I really like the colors in this rock right here. I know this green one and this blue one, that calms me down. But the yellow and red ones make me happy. I love that. So we're just gonna love each other for Autism Awareness and Acceptance Day and embrace all colors. I guess I tried with that one. Some of you guys are asking such amazing questions. All right, ASD is not curable. I would like to stress that right now, that there is no cure for autism, but the symptoms can most definitely be treated. It really can, with any kind of therapy. But saying that ASD or autism or whatever should be cured, I mean, that's like changing your hair color or your eyes. That's a part of us because we were born with it, and you wouldn't want to take that away. I think that if you have a child, you should accept it, and I know everyone is. It's frustrating, but we're gonna get through it together. Oh, I love that. I'm Light of Autism Kenya 2019. Oh, we're both metalheads. Oh, thank you, Sarah. That's so great to hear. I'll have to look up this Light of Autism. I love making new friends and finding out new organizations. How did you feel when someone asked you to do something you didn't like? Wait, okay, well, this person left, but I really am intrigued by this question. I felt scared and I had trouble saying no at first. I mean, we're all gonna face peer pressure eventually in our lives, but it's our job to, I don't know, it's terrible. I'm thinking of something bad, but you gotta overcome it. It's not the best feeling when someone asks you to do something you don't like, especially when it's gross, it's traumatizing. If someone tells you to do something, especially if it's wrong, you gotta tell them no. Hi, Rachel. How can parents engage with their children with ASD at home during the time of the Corona Epidemic? Okay, well, like I said, there's plenty of ways you can do this. Like I said, reading, doing art therapy, music therapy, just going outside in the yard. I know I've been taking walks through my neighborhood, and that's usually considered the safe zone where I'm at. You can't go out in the normal vicinity like through town unless you really have to work. I know my parents have been laid off work. Other than that, you can do a lot of handmade stuff. For example, I know for Halloween, I took a balloon, a Sharpie, and some sand, and I made this. It is a homemade stress reliever that looks like a pumpkin. So I'll just squeeze that and it keeps me stress-free all year round. So that's, and another thing, you know those jewelry bags that are lying around your house? You can just take them, you can fill them with little spices and herbs, and you can hang them around in your kitchen and they'll smell really good and it'll be a really amazing sensory project. And I'm not just making this up as I go along. I've tried this and it was so much fun. I love that. How do you cope with bullying in middle school? What advice would you give to others on the spectrum? Ooh, that is a wonderful one. Oh, it was not easy. This might be a hard one to talk about because middle school was the worst time for me. Because I went to a private middle school, and if you were different, then you had no chance of fitting in. I mean, at first it was okay because I started in 5th grade where it was the last of everyone being nice to each other, but then middle school, everyone knew I was different and I was excluded from a lot of things. But this was the start of me trying to advocate for myself. I started getting into theater. I tried to show I wasn't the autistic person and that I was worth something. So that's kind of how I coped, even though I did come home crying almost every day. But it was all right because I was on stage and I thought I was making people happy. But that was another thing, coping in different ways. Everyone does that. You can find an activity you like. You'll find friends that you like. Some people I still talk to because I found the right friends. And that's one thing, is that you can find a teacher that you can trust, which is what I did. And also talk to your parents. Some people don't have a family that they can trust, but luckily I had my family and I told them a lot of what was going on and they listened. And that's the advice I would say. Congratulations on all your achievements. Thank you. I'm a mom and I would like to know when you started speaking. Wow, I started speaking fairly recently. I started my platform at 11 years ago. I started it in middle school, so I spent my life as a kid watching older people speak. So when I turned 22 or 23, I'm 23 now, I officially started speaking. I'm actually fairly new at it and I've only done a few gigs. So I hope to get better at it. But at school, I have done communications. I'm double majoring in English and communications. I took a speech class. I really want to do that. But yeah, I'm a newbie at it. Please answer me. Hello, you matter. Were you verbal since then? Hold on. Let's try to get a new question. Okay, your message for therapists and for parents. My message for therapists and parents is that they should never give up and they should always try to understand people with disabilities, understand that we are capable and that we can do anything we set our minds to. Oh, well, it's okay. They left. I'm going to move on and say something else because I think there's a lot more to say. There's definitely a lot more to say. I hope that there's still audio. Okay, thank you. I have someone making sure that there's there's visuals and something to say. So I've done a lot of community service, which has helped me get out into the world and has helped me with my autism. It has helped me meet a lot of people, which I'm very grateful for. I know that I've helped raise $250,000 for families who have autistic kids, and they can't afford the therapies. And we frequently host events for those families, and they're very sensory friendly. And that's my pride and joy. But I wouldn't be here without any of the therapies that we are talking about today. The actually autistic therapies that we're talking about and every child can have, whether it's at home or in a doctor's office. Right now, I'm double majoring in English and communications, which has been a great experience. I think that's a therapy in itself. But it's always a challenge because I have anxiety, but I have a service dog too named Harvest, and he helps me with my anxiety and balance issues. He even helps me make friends. And he's not with me today because he's very sleepy and he's a dad right now. He has 2 little puppies to take care of. But yes, he helps me go out into the world. So another therapy for a child is to get a service dog. I got him from New Horizons Service Dogs, and they are very wonderful. Which brings us to another question. Swimming therapy is better for autistic child? Yes, because I went swimming a lot when I was a kid, and I still do. It's great exercise. It's great for autistic children. There's been a study that has shown that we love water. It's just really amazing for some reason. We can't stay out of it, but yes, it's a really good therapy. Is there a specific syllabus for art therapy? No, I mean, art is art. I think you should approach it like any mom or dad does an arts project with their kid. I don't think there has to be a syllabus. It should be fun. You should let the kid's mind just go like this, and it really works. Any book or media to help us understand? Okay, right. Well, one thing that helps me understand myself is Matilda. It's a book, it's a movie, it's a play. Well, musical, sorry. But that is the best, the absolute best thing you could ever see, read, watch to understand an autistic child. I know this person left, but this is such a great question. I don't think it matters. But I am trash for Matilda because it's such a great portrayal of an autistic girl. And we don't have a lot of autistic girls in the media. I know that I watched the movie a lot and I wore out that VHS tape because I was just like, oh, she's autistic like me. Another one is Star Trek, Spock. He is very autistic. And I could go back to Matilda, all you have to do is watch the movie. Everyone knows that movie. But Spock, you can find him in Star Trek if you're into that. I'm sure, but Star Trek isn't for everyone, so I will go to another example, a TV show named Community. There's a character with autism named Abed, and not only is he autistic, but he is an autistic man of color. He is of Indian descent, and he's hilarious. I like him a lot. So that's just a few amazingly awesome portrayals, and they're so original. I love it because all too often we have the typical Rain Man portrayal of a man who's white and good at math. And we just need to change that because as a spectrum, we have many beautiful faces. Huh. That's actually a good one. At this point, I don't care if people leave because you're asking really amazing questions. How can these therapy help people having deaf, blindness, and autism? Well, I think you're asking to help with more than one. You got to help the autism, but deaf blindness is something else entirely. Well, blindness is something that you're not really going to fix because you're born with it, and that's okay. And as for being deaf, you can get a cochlear implant. Fortunately, with the help of surgery, you you definitely can fix the ears and maybe the eyes. I know some people say that they can donate their corneas, but who wants to do that? I don't know. I'm just thinking, why would you want to fix everything? I'm sure this person is fine the way they are. I've seen a lot of deaf-blind people who have accomplished many wonderful things. When I spoke at the UN, there was a person who was deaf and blind with autism, and they were up there, they were just talking about their journey. So I just thought, wow, we can do a lot of amazing things if we don't let our disabilities stop us. No one is truly disabled. Oh, well, I have talked about the Global Autism Project. It is an organization that helps people with autism understand us, preferably those working in that field. So I went to the Czech Republic and I helped therapists understand their kids. And I went to the first A.A Center in Prague and I told my story, and now they're thriving. I love them. They're amazing. We did that one. But as for Global Autism Project, we also go to places like India, Nepal, China, everywhere. We go everywhere. So you can do that. You can go follow Global Autism Project on Facebook and check them out. What was your breakthrough? Well, I'm not sure. I'd say my breakthrough point was it took a long time. I think that no one really has a breakthrough point, but I think I start to understand myself in high school, really, because I really, really liked that. When's the perfect time to begin speech therapy for children? Always. Begin as early as possible. Is inclusive education effective? Very much. It helps, and it makes a world of difference. People are saying there's unauthorized therapies, and I'm very sad. All right, I'm way up the question bar or wherever it is. I really need to go down. All right, I'm just gonna go down further. Please give my message to all the parents that autism is nothing to be ashamed of. Yes. All right, guys. I'm so glad for all your questions. I will just leave you with one more thing. I saw one question that I really like. Yes, I have seen the show Atypical. My friends are on it, and I'm so proud of them. I liked that question, and I'm so happy for everyone else. I'm so glad I didn't get to them all, but it was great having everyone here. And remember, autism is nothing to be ashamed of. Bye.